Race 29 of 34 of this NASCAR Nationwide Series season is about to go green from Dover International Speedway. 200 laps, 200 miles. And down on the grid, Rusty, the driver starting 11th, Ryan Scott.
I'll tell you, he's doing pretty good right now. He's qualified 11th today, but the last time they ran, he was on the pole in Chicago and actually had his best finish of a third. So this guy's pretty hot right now.
For me, it's going to be Kenny Wallace. 11 top 10 finishes this year, 3 starts away from the all-time start record of Jason Leppert.
They're ready to go, so let's go trackside.
Race fans, please rise and remove your caps. Presenting our nation's colors today is the Dover Air Force Base Color Guard. And for today's invocation, I present to you Major Timothy Hurton.
Good afternoon, race car fans. Please prepare your hearts for this time of prayer. Let us bow our heads. Almighty God, we thank you for our life and this opportunity to share this magnificent race. We pray for our NASCAR drivers, for safety, that the value of fair play will give glory to God as we seek the witness of noble sportsmanship. We pray for workers, organizers, and sponsors that car racing will bring progress in human lives through recreation and friendship through sports. We ask this prayer in your holy name. Amen.
Please remain standing as I present to you and welcome Senior Airman Naomi Scott for today's national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the hope of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, Senior Airman Naomi Scott.
Elliott Sadler and Carl Edwards, your front row. Only 6 races left to determine a Nationwide Series champion. We'll cross off one off of that list when we go green from Dover next.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Dover, brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at codespotter.com for a chance to win one-of-a-kind NASCAR VIP experiences. And Papa John's. Earn free pizza fast with double Papa rewards every weekend, only at papajohns.com.
Back at Dover, described this week by one driver who had won here before, Brad Keselowski, as one of the last great tests of man versus machine. Marty Reed, perhaps that is the reason why this place is called the Monster Mile.
It truly is. I mean, this has got a unique characteristic, and we're going to show you in our Goodyear Track Facts just what we're talking about, and then we're going to bring in DJ and Andy to sort of explain it in depth. But you can get a look right behind the graphic there. As you look at that straightaway, the 9 degrees banking, to give you an idea, that's what the corners are like at Indianapolis. Indianapolis at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And that's just the straightaways. And you drop off like from a 3-story building from the top of the corner to the bottom. So, DJ, you've driven this place. Take us through it.
Yeah, it's basically a 170-mile-per-hour roller coaster ride that these drivers get on. With these Nationwide cars, the lower horsepower, it really makes it difficult. This racing surface with the concrete surface is rough. You have to drive it hard. You have to be in the gas lot. That 24 degrees of banking creates a lot of speed around this racetrack. It puts a lot of abuse on the tires also. So as you try to be aggressive, you also have to be a little bit cautious that you don't create some problems in handling for your car.
Yeah, this track is a monster on not just the drivers, but the car as well. All the things Dale said makes it a really difficult race on the car. All the suspension parts, those right front tires, they're so critical. It's so hard to make those things live because the bankings and the loads and all the suspension things that we were talking about. This is going to be a great race to watch, and it's also a tough track to tune for as it changes.
Well, and for our 3 championship contenders, this track has been very good to them. If we take a look back at what happened in May, all 3 of them had very strong finishes between 3rd and 6th place. But you look where they're going to be starting. 19th for Reed Sorensen. He's got some work to do. He's 3rd in the points, and there's Elliott Sadler on pole.
Yeah, Elliott Sadler's got a fast car, and he needs to use it today because he needs a win for a lot of reasons. But to win this championship, he's got to put some pressure on that young driver in that 6 car. If he doesn't put enough pressure on him, I think that guy's got so much confidence and his car is so fast that he's going to walk away with this championship if he's not careful. But if Elliott Sadler can win, it puts some pressure on him.
Yeah, it's a good idea for him to be able to do that. He doesn't have a win yet, but Reed Sorensen basically knows he has to have those 2 drivers in front of him to have a lot of problems. But even if they do have problems, he has to be there to take advantage of this. Has been a really good track for him. He struggled in practice. We'll see what he can do here today.
Well, here's the good news for Elliott Sadler and Carl Edwards. They're the 2 starting on the front row. 5 of the last 7 races here at Dover have been won by those positions on the racetrack. Will it happen again today? We'll find out. We'll talk to our in-race reporter when we come back here to Dover International Speedway. I'm sorry, let's go trackside and start the engines first. Then we'll talk to our in-race reporter.
And now for those most famous words in all of motorsports, the president and CEO of OneMain Financial, Mary McDowell.
Welcome, race fans, to the OneMain Financial 200. Are you ready? Drivers, start your engine!
Frank, when you're ready there. Fired up. All right, shoot, Paul. Yeah, Jay, I got you loud and clear. A good one. 10-4. Right rear bead. Yeah, check there.
And now we've got the engines on the 43 cars that have qualified for today's race, fired and ready to roll. And we were talking about that man on pole position, Elliott Sadler. He is going to be our in-race reporter. And we'll talk to him when we come back here to Dover International. Here at the OneMain Financial 200, the engines have fired, and we'll show you the starting lineup across the top of the screen. 2 cars did not make the field, Mark Davis and Tony Raines. Those 2 went home. And there is Elliott Sadler, his 10th career pole. And his performance this year in 2011 has been extremely strong, except one area that he wants to improve on, and that's that 0 right there. His last win 84 starts ago at Rockingham in 1998. We mentioned he's our in-race reporter. Let's talk to him, DJ.
Hey, Elliott, Dale Jarrett, you have a copy?
Yes, sir, DJ. How are you?
I'm doing great, buddy. How about yourself?
I got a pretty good view up here, doing well.
All right, Elliott, our first question is our mailbag question. Comes from Raylan in Hollywood, Florida. We just showed a stat that you have 20 top 10 finishes, very consistent. And Raylan asked, with the season winding down, how important is it that your team gets his first win, or do you think you can get the championship without a win?
I honestly think we need to win a race, and it's like my boss said, Kevin Harvick, that we need to be aggressive, especially these last 6 races. We're doing a great job of being consistent. We're doing a good job of running up front, but I think we definitely need to take it to the next level, try to lead some laps and get a win. And I can't think of a better place than here at Dover to start on the poles. A good accomplishment by our team, and we just got to take it, that extra step and have a good run here today.
Hey, Elliott, we had a big rain here last night, washed all the rubber off of the racetrack. We've had 2 qualifying sessions to darken it back up some, but our viewers are going to see it really darken up in the corners. Can you tell them how that's going to affect the driving of your car here today?
Yeah, it's definitely going to get darker as we run. The track's going to have a lot of grip in it now, but as it darkens up, it's going to get like a little film on it, just a little rubber film, and whatever your car is doing, whether it's tight, whether it's loose, it's probably going to magnify the issue that you're having. So we think we got a lot of adjustability built in this One Main Financial Chevrolet car, and you know, hopefully as the track actually rubbers up like it did yesterday, my car actually got better. So we're looking forward to that part of the race, especially the last half of it.
All right, Elliott, thanks for talking with us, and good luck in trying to get that first victory here today.
All right, I appreciate it, guys. You have a good call there in the booth.
And as you know, Elliott has one of our onboard cameras. Let's show you the rest that are in our field. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Trevor Bayne, Brad Keselowski, Justin Allgaier, Stephen Wallace, Eric Almirola, and Kenny Wallace. Let's get the last-minute update from pit road. First up is Vince Welch.
Thank you, Marty. The 88 car owned by Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been rock solid over the past 2 months. In fact, the last 10 races have produced 9 top 10s for driver Eric Almirola. But it's been a bit of a challenge this weekend for crew chief Pops Uri. The 88 just hasn't wanted to turn, and if it's that tight in the race, it's going to be a long 200 laps for Almirola. Jamie Little?
Well, Vince, despite being only 6 races left, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the points leader, told me he's not ready to start point racing yet. He wants to win, and to help him do that, his crew chief and his team brought the same car he won with earlier this year at Iowa. He also has Carl Edwards set up, and once again, he has a Cup crew pitting him. And when it comes to concrete tracks, although he's never won one of these, he scored the most points of any driver this year at these styles of tracks. Dave Burns.
Jamie, in addition to setup, here's another way that Carl Edwards can help his teammate Ricky Stenhouse win the championship. That's race Elliott Sadler hard. Cleanly, fairly, expect Carl Edwards to race the pole sitter very aggressively at the beginning of this race to prevent him from leading even 1 lap, because that would put him 1 step closer to Ricky Stenhouse, and Carl will try to prevent that. Dr. Jerry Punch?
Reigning NASCAR Nationwide Series champion Brad Keselowski is trying to win yet another title in 2011, but this one in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, where he currently sits 3rd in the Chase point standings. Now, with that in mind, how do you approach racing today on a high-speed racetrack that's high risk like Dover, Delaware? He said, you know what? If I try to run less than 100%, that's when you get in trouble. So expect Brad K to attack if he gets as aggressive as he always is here today, in spite of what's at stake here on Sunday. Marty?
All right, thanks, Doc. I think the point that Dave brought up was really crucial here. This first start, the corners with the leader, of course, with Elliott Sadler and Carl Edwards on that front row. Let's get a quick update on the 6 radio of Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
All right, we've talked enough. We know what we need to do, Ricky. You got a good car, and you'll be fine up on the wheel all day. Just let me know what we can do to help you out. Give me the biggest problem first. That's the one we're going to work on. Let's have some fun. You guys on pit road do your job. Smart racing all day long. 200 laps. Let's get out of here with a great day.
And we're hearing there may be an issue with the 88 of Eric Almirola. Vince Welch.
Off to a bad start. They're having an electrical issue. All the gauges in the car have gone dead for the 88, so keep an eye on Eric Almirola here in the early going, guys.
It has been a rough weekend.
You can see the gauge panel right there, not lit up like it should be.
All right, so
see the tack moving now, though. It looks like it may have come back alive.
Well, we'll keep tabs on it, see if he updates the crew, and we'll keep you posted if he gets any of those gauges back besides the tachometer. That looks like it does appear to be working. Cars are now coming through turns 3 and 4. Pace car has pulled down. Elliott Sadler, the pole sitter, has the inside. Drivers left. They come through 4. The field of 43 here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. The One Main Financial 200 is green. Who's going to try and keep Elliott Sadler from leading a lap. That one isn't going to work.
Yeah, he didn't have much to say about it there, did he?
No, Elliott got a great start, and I know he was really anticipating trying to make that happen because he doesn't think his car's as fast as these other cars at the beginning of a run. He thinks that it's the long run that's really going to benefit him. See the 6 really get loose off of turn 2 right there.
And going backwards as Casey Kane goes around him. Stenhouse now in 7th position. Carl Edwards and the 18 of Joey Logano. Edwards getting underneath now. He's halfway up the door. 33 of Clint Boyer also into the mix. Carl clears.
Yeah, we're going to see the bottom groove be the preferred line around here the majority of the day with these Nationwide cars. But as we get some more rubber in that second groove, then we'll see you be able to be a little more competitive right there on the outside.
Clint Boyer also gets around the 18, and there is Ryan Truex in that sharply painted number 20. Ooh, looking a little racy in the middle of the field. Sliding up, that's the 30 of Jason Leffler. Almost got into the 11 of Ryan Scott.
Reed Sorensen there taking a spot away. Yeah, Brad Scott looks like he has a problem.
Yeah, he just went way high there, like he may have gotten some marbles on the tires, some rubber buildup from getting out of the groove of the last corner.
Battle for 7th. The 22 of Brad Keselowski side by side with the 6. Well, at least it was momentarily side by side with Ricky Stenhouse.
The track really narrows up off the corner like right there, doesn't it, Dale? As you come up off and hit that straightaway with that banking on the straightaway, it looks like it's a little tricky.
Yeah, you really have to be careful there, and you need to carry that speed on the exit of the corner, and that's difficult as we have caution on the track.
Yellow, yellow.
The yellow is out for the first time today. Don't see any contact with any of the corners. We'll wait for official word from NASCAR. 46 has pulled off down pit road. Being the car of Chase Miller, there is some debris high on the racetrack there. Also gives us a chance to tell you that Andrews, Wimmer, Bell, Chapman, Byers, Long, Mark Green, Jeff Green, and Carter have also gone behind the wall with just 6 laps down. So here in the early going, we were going to have a competition caution and still scheduled to have it at lap number 40. But Elliott Sadler has led all 6 of our green flag laps.
That's a great shot right there. As you see the front end of these cars bouncing as they go around here at a slow speed. You can imagine what's happening then as these cars get up to 165, 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's just one bump. They're going across right there at slow speed. And that turns into a bunch of chattery type bumps as they go through the corner. This is one of those tracks that shocks are real important.
So our first caution comes early here with threatening skies. The weather's supposed to hold up for us. Hopefully it will, as we've got 200 laps of racing to come. Under our first caution here at Dover International Speedway after 8 of the 200 laps that we're going to race today. And the damaged front splitter that we showed you, the reason for the caution came off of this car, the 15 of Timmy Hill. You could see the front end of it there. And you saw what they were doing in pit road to fix it.
Well, they just missed their height adjustment by quite a bit, because the first part of the race, it just wore that splitter out. The car is just sitting on the splitter going through the corner, so they just stopped to raise it up a little bit in the front end. And let's go to our Craftsman Tech Garage and Tim Brewer and show us how they did that. Tim?
Thanks, Andy. You know, this is a part of the splitter right here. A lot of the guys are getting where they put them on the cars in sections, but they affix to the bottom of the car right here. But when they hit it really hard, like Andy showed a while ago, the car goes down and actually crams the ground, and traveling at 160 mile an hour, when it goes down that corner, you can't expect it to stay on there very long. Andy?
Yeah, that's what brought the caution out, was that center piece you see had actually come loose from the car and was sitting on the track. Now that you see them, they're using the jack screws to raise the car up and get that splitter off the ground. Or what's left of the splitter.
All right, let's reset it for you, because we have Elliott Sadler, our race leader. He's led all the laps so far since the drop of the green flag. Carl Edwards right alongside. Carl will be on the high side on this restart. Then in row 2, it's Clint Boyer, Joey Logano, then Casey Kane, Ryan Truex, Brad Keselowski, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. rounding out your top 8. Pace car is off. They come out of turn number 4. Green flag's in the air, and we're racing again at Dover. This time it's Carl Edwards that gets the better restart. And he is going to jump out into the lead. The 18 of Joey Logano, and dropping back to 3rd is our pole sitter, Elliott Sadler.
I think these restarts are the the one area of the day in particular that are going to concern our drivers that are battling for this points championship. You can see Elliott Sadler was a little bit easier. He wanted on that first one to get out there and get that lap led, but taking a little more caution this time.
Brad Keselowski in that 22 underneath the 20 of Ryan Truex and the 6 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And Jamie, are you hearing word that there may be a problem on the 6?
Well, he doesn't have a problem. It's the way he's driving and the way the car is handling. This is what he said on the radio.
Anything you could do to help roll the center or anything?
I've tried running up a little bit and turning down and driving across the bottom. But when I do that, I can't get it back to the bottom. I just got to stick around the bottom and feed the throttle into it easy. But, I mean, they're eating me up, man.
And Ricky told me this morning his biggest issue is overdriving the corner, and that allows his car to tighten up and will not go through the center, Marty.
All right, thanks for the update there on the 6 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And you can see him just fighting that wheel.
Yeah, he's fighting it pretty good. But you see Ryan Truex in that 20. That thing is really tail happy. Lost a few spots, but he's hanging on to it. Looks like it's pretty free.
Truex has dropped back to the 9th position in that number 20. Right behind him is the 88 of Eric Almirola. In front of him, the 31 of Justin Allgaier. Well, we saw how tail happy the 20 was. Let's get an update from Dave Burns.
So Marty, that was his report during this caution period. It is free going into the corner. When it hits the center of the corner, it doesn't want to turn. And then right here where it's coming off the corner, it is free again. That's a condition that's really tough, especially getting back in line. Fortunately, he's got veteran spotter Curtis Markham up on top of the building today to help him through it.
Restarted in 5th, has dropped back to 9th. Last few laps, though, he has been able to hold station there.
I think it's going to be important for this young man right now is just to make sure that he doesn't do anything crazy. In just over 20 laps, he's going to get a competition yellow here, an opportunity that everybody will come down pit road and he can work on this car and tighten it up a little bit.
There you see Carl Edwards. He's opened up an 1/8 of a second lead over Joey Logano. Dave?
You know, Carl Edwards didn't lead that first few laps. He didn't prevent the 2 car from getting that point. But his agenda now is to prevent Elliott from being able to get the most laps led. Obviously, Carl's in the lead right now, but if Elliott was to lead the most laps, he would get another point for that. So the agenda changed a little bit, and Carl's still able to help teammate Stenhouse. Doc?
And Elliott Sadler said, I want to run the car very, very hard early on, which he did, and then the yellow came out, and now it's about just getting the car comfortable. If I can get a top 5 finish these last 6 races, we can win the championship. Right now, Elliott says the car is very free on landing when the car lands in the corner.
There you see Sadler running in the 4th position right now, and behind him, here comes Brad Keselowski. He has gotten around the 38, gives a little wave of thank you to Casey Kane, and is setting sail. In fact, the talk in the garage area was that the 22 of Keselowski and the 60 of Carl were going to be the 2 that you'd have to deal with by the end of this race.
It was just a matter of time before you saw that 22 car coming to the front.
So there is your top 5 as we've completed 20 of 200 here at Dover. Tonight, ESPN2 and ESPN deliver 2 primetime thrillers. First on ESPN2, as soon as we get finished here at Dover, Frank Beamer and the 11th ranked Hokies have their first real test of the season when they host Dabo Sweeney's 13th ranked Tigers. Then on ESPN at 8 Eastern, Brian Kelly and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish look to win their 3rd straight against Danny Hope's Purdue Boilermakers. Both games part of Tailgate Week. It's fired up by Kingsford Charcoal. We have completed 27 of 200 here at Dover, and our race leader is Carl Edwards. There's our pole sitter, the number 2 of Elliott Sadler. He's under attack from the 22 of Brad Keselowski, and Keselowski's underneath him.
Yeah, he may lose a spot also to Ricky Stenhouse, who's coming on strong now. Looks like his car's gotten a lot better for him.
As this run has progressed, during the break, Andy, you were noticing he was the fastest car on the track.
Yeah, a couple laps, the 6 car was the fastest car. That tells me that you know, the track is changing. It's tightening up a little bit. The track's kind of coming to his setup.
Ryan Truex in the 31 of Justin Allgaier, as those 2 are going after each other. That is for 8th position.
That's another car that was really free, was Ryan Truex in that 20. And now it seems like the track must be tightening up a little bit because those cars are starting to come back to life.
Eric Cope in the 28 is lap traffic. He is 1 lap down in 30th position.
What you may have is this track starts to rubber up some as we see Clint Boyer now go under Joey Logano, trying to take that second spot away.
And it looks like he is going to clear him, and does. Now he is 1.7 seconds behind our race leader Carl Edwards. Edwards has now led 20 of the 30 laps that we've run. Elliott Sadler led the first 10.
That's traditionally what you expect the track to do, is to tighten up here. A lot of tracks we've been to, we've seen almost the opposite effect. As they run, they get looser. It looks like tonight, or today, it actually is getting tighter.
Yeah, we'll listen to them and see, Andy. I know one other thing that the drivers were telling me, that as this track rubbered up, then the front doesn't grip quite as hard, so you're not as loose. Whenever it didn't have the rubber down, the front would really grip, and that would make the back end of the car extremely loose because it literally couldn't keep up with the front end of the car. But Joey Logano's looking pretty good right now, Jimmy.
He is, but he's actually saying he's really loose as in qualifying, and when he gets around other cars, it gets worse. His team reminding him that the competition caution is coming up in about 8 laps, and he wants some adjustments.
And we're working lap 33, so as Jamie mentioned, that competition caution coming up on lap number 40, as it is Edwards, Boyer, and Logano, your top 3. The rounding out the top 5, Brad Keselowski and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., our championship points leader in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Race leader Carl Edwards puts Scott Riggs 1 lap down. Riggs running in the 24th position, but his lead that was once 1.7 seconds over Clint Boyer has dwindled to about 0.6 of a second. There is side-by-side action between the 22 of Brad Keselowski and the 6 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. That is for 4. And the competition yellow is out. Remember, we had all-night rain here in the Dover area, and they want to take a good look at these tires for good reason.
Well, this track is a concrete track. When you get the rain washing all the rubber off, it really does wear the tires quickly, and they want to make sure that the track is taking rubber good and that we don't have any issues early on here.
Yeah, we actually saw wear yesterday in practice when there was a lot of rubber down on the track. So just a little bit of a precautionary measure by NASCAR. These teams can take a good look and see exactly what they can expect from this racetrack from here on out.
We showed you Scott Riggs being put a lap down. He will get that lap back courtesy of the Lucky Dog. So we'll have 24 cars back on the lead lap when we go back to Green Flag Racing.
Just before that caution came out, Clint Boyer in the 33 car had been kind of reeling Carl Edwards in slowly.
And before qualifying, he had told me, he said, I think we are going to be very good on the long runs, and that was bearing it out.
The last few times that Clint's been here, he's been a factor in the race, and we don't expect anything less here this weekend.
Well, you can see as everybody is coming down pit road, cars that are on the lead lap, led by our race leader, Carl Edwards, with Clint Boyer and Joey Logano right behind. Let's send it down to Jamie Little.
And Mike Kelly, the crew chief for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., told him earlier before the race, let's focus on the biggest problem. Ricky said, I can't get through the center. They're going to take wedge out of the left rear 4 tires and fill it up with Sunoco fuel. Dave.
Same problem for the blue and white 60th leader Edwards. Can't get through the center. Just slapping some tape on the front end to help it turn, Doc.
Right side of your screen, Brad Keselowski, tire change, air pressure change, a little bit free on exits, and otherwise not really good. Right bottom corner, 4 tires, no changes for Clint Boyer. Boyer was the fastest car on the racetrack the last 5 laps in the long run.
Well, Brad Keselowski takes 2 tires, picks up 3. Look at Jason Leffler. He picks up 10 spots on a 2-tire stop. Joey Logano drops 4. As we give you another view of exactly what's happening on the 30 of Jason Leffler. That's Tracy Duncan, the Jackman.
Still working the competition caution here at Dover International Speedway. 44 laps in. Brad Keselowski came out of that last pit stop as the leader. Carl Edwards is second so far. A lot of guys trying to find that balance.
Yeah, Jason Leffler picks up 10 spots on a great pit stop. Clint Boyer was the fastest car on the racetrack as we were coming to the debris or the caution there. So let's see who can pick up the pace here.
Well, after lap 40 now for the competition caution, Brad, they've been able to come in there, put new tires on and make some adjustments. Some of these guys are way off, and some of them are going to get right again. And so this restart, in my opinion, is going to be really important right now. You got to go like crazy on this track.
And inside the ESPN pit studio, we are joined by a special guest. He is a 16 times X Games gold medalist, Travis Pastrana. What you can't see are the crutches off to the side. You hobbled up here. Obviously, you were hoping to be in a couple of races this season, but how are you feeling?
Oh, feeling really good. I mean, just have to get some pins taken out of the foot and be able to push on that gas pedal a little bit. But looking forward to this is my first time live here. It's my hometown track. I've been missing out, man.
Place is awesome, isn't it?
It is so amazing. It's the speed on this track is ridiculous.
He's like, just a couple of pins, need to have them taken out. No big deal. How hard is it, though, for you to sit here and watch and not be out there?
I'm still a huge fan. Like, it would be really difficult watching a motocross race. I can't wait to get out there and get back in the car. But just watching this, man, I just got an ear-to-ear grin. So it's I can't wait to get in the car and get as many races next year because I don't have the equivalency now to start Daytona. So try to get as many rounds as we can.
Well, we know you've got some time, so we're going to let you hang out with us. We'll chat with Travis a little bit about his schedule. Actually, no, they've added another lap to this caution. So where are you? We know you've got to take the pins out, but what's the recovery process after that?
Pretty much shattered the ankle on that mishap at X Games. But no, I just really been spending a lot of time with Waltrip Racing, just getting in the shop, trying to figure out a lot about the cars. I just had a lot of rally experience, a lot of driving experience, but getting out here, getting to watch some races, and watch a lot of truck races too with Matt Crafton, who's been a kind of a driver coach, and just trying to learn what I can. So when we get in next year, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, I know you've been healing up a lot, and it's been a real tough deal. You just told us you got a lot of bolts and nuts in your legs. But I'm really glad to hear you're spending time at the race shop, because in this game, we found that if you get out of it just a little bit, you really get way behind. So you got to stay in the game. It sounds like you're doing that.
I haven't been in yet, but I'm working on everything that I can do to, got an iRacing simulator, so learning the tracks, hopefully it's helping.
When you get your leg, when you get everything looked at, how soon after that do you think it'll be before you get back in a race car?
As soon as I can start walking, I'm going to be pushed on that pedal. So hopefully another month should be all right.
Good.
1 month. Wow. I think I'd be sitting there relaxing a little bit longer. Back on the track, as you take a look at Travis Pastrana's stats, they are coming around to the green flag. I know, Rusty, guys trying to figure out the track has changed an awful lot. So what are you expecting as they go green?
Well, I think right now the tension's real high. They're really going to be bombing down into turn 1 and turn 3, I'm sorry. And they got new tires on them right now. And a lot of guys feel like they got their cars handling better. So I expect a real aggressive restart, Nicole, on this particular track.
Brad Keselowski, the leader, Marty.
Down into turn number 1, side by side with Carl Edwards. Boy, Edwards gets a great restart.
Jamie McMurray way up out of the groove also back in the pack.
Kind of question that choice of lane by Keselowski to choose the outside with looking at the groove of the racetrack being really on the bottom so far.
Watching how twitchy that 33 of Clint Boyer is as he came through that last corner. Here we go again.
Good opportunity to see how those two tires will act against these cars in 4.
Yeah, your question lane choice. I'm questioning 2 tires at Dover. We'll just have to see if any of it works out. You've already questioned. Your part of it has been documented there. It wasn't the right choice starting on the outside, not putting Carl Edwards down the bottom.
Look at all these cars still side by side. Carl Edwards doesn't know what he's missing back behind him. In that mix, there's the 2 of Elliott Sadler right in front of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. We're on board with Ricky.
You can see just how close it gets. Andy was talking about the difficulty getting up out of the corner, how tight things get. Car gets really loose, aero-wise and chassis-wise. Have to be extremely careful.
Joey Logano in the 18. He is right behind Sadler. And now, all of a sudden, here comes Allgaier on the high side. And Reed Sorensen. And Sorensen knows what he has to do. Put a lot of distance between his 32 and the 6 of Stenhouse.
Yeah, Stenhouse car looks like it's extremely loose on fresh tires, low air pressure. Takes him just a while to get going, and he loses a lot of spots.
That's good for the long run. That'll be really good if they can run 30, 40 laps. But getting there sometimes can be risky.
Trevor Bayne in that 11th position. We thought his car was going to be good. He looked really good in practice yesterday, but so far hasn't been able to move into that top 10.
Now, that first run, he didn't make a real big charge to the front. He was stabilized. I think he was in the top 15, but he was just not able to move forward.
See Ricky Stenhouse in the 6 really fighting that car, getting down to the center of the corner. He's pretty aggressive getting to the corner anyway, but this car being loose makes it difficult.
Side-by-side action a little farther back. That's Jamie McMurray in the 7. And the 62 of Michael Annett, who's making his 100th Nationwide Series start today. He's going to have to go a long way to catch Kenny Wallace. Kenny's in number 517 today. This will put him just 2 shy of the all-time mark. Here are the 2 Roush teammates getting close together there. Let's get an update on that 16. How about it, Dave Burns?
During that first run, Marty, he said the car was too free in into the center of the corner, and then when he went off of the corner, he would lose the nose. I think, DJ, that means grabbing some steering wheel, but nothing happens. They made a spring rubber adjustment, put one in the left rear to try to help that.
Working lap number 55. Falling into single file now after the restart. On board with Stenhouse.
Hard as we watch this in-car from Ricky Stenhouse, you can see back to Trevor Bayne, just the banking, the load of the cars here. Travis Stronish, Dale Jarrett up in the booth. If you're watching and listening here, I know you were talking about how exciting this looks. Do you think watching this that you're ready for this kind of action, 170-mile-per-hour roller coaster ride?
Super loose coming out of 4. It's just really, really exciting, man. But definitely looking forward to getting in there. It's scary sitting here not knowing what it's like, and just you kind of look at the details a little bit differently when you know you got a chance to get in that car soon.
Yeah, I'll tell you for sure. All the years that I drove, and when I got up here in the booth, it looked a lot worse up here than what it does when you actually get in the car.
I sure hope so. I'm usually seems to be the opposite. I'm like, sure, I can do that. I get in, I'm like in a monster truck or something flying upside down, going, oh man, this looked a lot easier on TV. So we'll see what happens.
Casey Kane going underneath Turner Motorsports teammate Jason Leffler, and that is 4th position. So move Kane into 4th. Here comes the 20 of Ryan Truex as well.
Watch Casey Kane miss 38 in practice yesterday. Most of the time, he ran a little higher groove than what we saw anybody else. He stays up just a little bit, gets a nice run off the corner. That's a little higher than whatever he really wants to go, but he's still able to hold on to the spot.
While we watch all this action, we get word that there was a potential mess between a couple of cars out there. The 15 of Timmy Hill and the 51 of Jeremy Clements. Whoa!
Wow, baby, that was close.
Great save by Clements.
You spin one out right there, you're going to tear it up bad. You're going to be in the garage fixing it for a while. Nowhere to go on this track when you spin out.
There is your top 3. Carl Edwards has now led 44 laps. Behind him is Brad Keselowski, Clint Boyer running in 3rd, and they have pulled away from the group that is 4th and back, with Ryan Truex, Casey Kane rounding out as your top 5.
Still your leader at Dover as we are 66 laps in. You can catch the Auto Plus NHRA Nationals qualifying tonight at 12:30 Eastern Time on ESPN2. Then tomorrow, NASCAR Now comes your way twice, one at 9 a.m., one at 10 p.m. That is also on ESPN2. And don't forget the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Dover tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. And tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern on the Deuce, Auto Plus NHRA Nationals. And next Saturday at 3 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2, it's the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Kansas. Carl Edwards, your leader, being chased down by Clint Boyer. He's a little less than a second behind him. And inside the ESPN pit studio, a guy who would very much like to be in the car right now, but due to an injury at the X Games, is sitting out for a little bit. Travis Pastrana, we talked a little bit about you recovering and getting back in the car. We know you're on schedule and on pace for a Phoenix debut. Then what?
Well, really looking forward to Phoenix. Boost is going to jump back in and sponsor the amount of races they were going to sponsor for this year. So really happy to have them, but just really looking for to get in as many cars as possible. I still got to get equivalency, basically get your licenses for the super speedways, and without being able to guarantee for all the events for next year. you know, it's just difficult to know exactly what we can do, but I'm going to be racing as much as possible.
And we should be clear on that. That's Phoenix next year. Travis, thank you very much for coming to hang out with us. Good luck recovering.
Yeah, good luck.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate you having me on. You guys got an awesome view up here.
Yes, sir.
Back on the track, let's get caught up with what's happening. Marty Reed, take it away.
All right, thank you, Nicole. Side-by-side action with the 7 of Jamie McMurray, the 11 of Brian Scott. That is for 13th position. You're wondering how our race leader is doing? Well, Carl Edwards has just passed the 1,500 lap lead mark for the year. 5th driver in the history of the series to rack up that many laps led. He is about 0.8 of a second ahead of Clint Boyer. Brad Keselowski is 3rd. Ryan Truex and Casey Kane round out your top 5.
It looks like the setup on these two cars are a little different. Carl Edwards' car, he really takes off on the start, gets out front pretty good. And that 33 car has got a long run setup, so he can start reeling him in after they run 10 or 20 laps. But that 60 car, he's looking pretty good right now, Dave.
He really is, Andy. And my conversation with crew chief Mike Beam this weekend, I asked Mike about winning here in May and what they do any differently here this weekend. He said one thing is we're going to take care of Carl. He's in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, and we can't let anything we do here affect that. To that end, they were a little less aggressive on their setup in the front end, a camber adjustment that would help that car turn. We talked about, or we wanted to talk about in Countdown today. So as far as not being aggressive goes, if they take care of that right front tire, they can keep him out of the wall and maybe not hurt his chances in the chance today. Dr. Punch?
And Andy Peachy was exactly right. The 33 car, Clint Boyer, set up for long run. After about 15 laps, Boyer becomes one of, if not the fastest cars on the racetrack. And they're telling Clint, hey, the guys up in front of you, the fast cars, are running on the bottom of the track. Try to keep that car down on the bottom in the corners. And right now, Clint just said, I'm starting to get a little free. I'm concerned about starting to get loose now in this run. Guys?
Boyer's last of 8 nationwide wins came here in this same race back in 2009.
Yeah, you're talking about Carl Edwards and that right front camber, where Dave's talking about. That is one of the most tempting adjustments that you can make here because it's worth speed. You put camber, negative camber, lean that tire in on the right front. It'll make speed around here, but you really do walk a tightrope on durability and over-stressing that right front tire and blowing it out. And they don't want to do that with Carl in the hunt for a Sprint Cup championship.
Morgan Shepherd just goes 2 laps down. He's in 27th position.
Yeah, you talk about that camber adjustment. As a driver, boy, it's a nice field, but you really have to weigh that balance of the feel that it gives you when that tire blows out and you hit this wall going about 140 miles an hour, too.
Yeah, you know that feeling.
I unfortunately do, yes, and it's not a good one.
Here's a scary thought, though. I talked to Carl before qualifying, and he says, well, my Cup car is actually better than my Nationwide car. Well, his Nationwide car has just led 62 laps, and he's qualified for tomorrow's Cup race. And you know how much Carl loves the concrete. And right now, his lead here is 0.6 of a second over Clint Boyer. Under our second caution here, we've completed 79 of the 200 laps. Debris out on the racetrack. Race leader Carl Edwards had a 0.6 of a second lead. That was erased. And our lucky dog will go to Casey Roderick in the number 70 here in the One Main Financial 200. As you can see that Carl is leading the parade down pit road. Vince?
The 30 of Jason Leffler, remember, he took just 2 tires on that initial stop. They're going with 4 tires and a track bar adjustment this time. Jamie?
And Joey Logano, they're going to make another wedge adjustment, air pressure, and 4 tires for the 18. Dave?
The leader on the upper right will take 4 tires, air pressure reduced in the front tires, another piece of tape. It needs to turn a little bit better. Doc?
Clint Boyer said, I'm getting very loose. They said, how about air pressure? No, I need air pressure and something else. So a half a round down on the track bar to help Clint Boyer. Trying to get it full of Sunoco fuel. There goes Carl Edwards by. Here goes Boyer trying to beat the 20 car. Brian Truex out. And it's a race off pit road, guys.
And Ryan Truex's crew does a great job picking him up 2 spots. Clint Boyer drops 1. The big winners, Brian Scott, he picks up 4. Casey Kane, the biggest loser, as he drops 3. So 80 laps of 200 are down here at Dover. Boy, a couple of big losers on pit road here at the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Dover.
Yeah, you see Elliott Sadler, everybody making some adjustments here, but Elliott Sadler takes the spring rubber out of the right rear, takes a little extra time. Also, you can see him turn the wedge bolts. 16.5 seconds. Lose 4 seconds to Ryan Truex's crew there. So
he's going to restart 12th. Joey Logano, they had a couple of lug nuts problem on pit road. He dropped from 6th to 15th on the restart. Up front, As we go green, it's Edwards, Truex, Boyer, and Keselowski.
And that Truex that you mentioned is Ryan Truex. 20-year-old doing a nice job here, staying up front.
The 19-year-old from Mayetta, New Jersey. This is his hometown track. His brother's going to be on the pole for the Sprint Cup race tomorrow, and here he is running in second. And he has been impressive since getting into this ride just a few races ago.
Yeah, you see how the racetrack is a lot lighter right there. It darkened up quite a bit after that long run, and after they ran under caution, it actually pulls a lot of that rubber back up off the track. It'll rubber right back in pretty quickly, though.
Yeah, that's what makes these restarts so difficult, the drivers were telling me. When it does that, it gets that front end gripping. You already loosened the car up for anticipation of tightening up a little bit, so it makes it very difficult.
Let me do some house cleaning. We had 3 waiver rounds, McClure, Shepard, and Skinner. We told you Casey Ryder got the waiver round. 24 cars on the lead lap. Sorensen took a look on the inside of the 66. How about the battle for second place? It's heating up. Here comes Clint Boyer trying to get underneath the 20. They're side by side. Can Truex hold him off? No.
You see that last pit stop for Clint Boyer, they were making chassis adjustments on that car.
Let's get it up. Oh, boy, that 20's starting to look a little twitchy, Dave. What are you hearing?
Well, a lot of pressure with these Sprint Cup regulars all around him right now, but Ryan Truex on that last pit stop wanted the car to turn just a little bit better at the start of the run, so that's what they gave him. As you see the battle between teammates here, that's what they gave the 20 car of Ryan Truex, so that may be why it's just a bit twitchy right now.
All right, thanks for the update. As you saw, the Reed Sorensen 32 getting by his teammate. So Sorensen now into the 14th position. He's still got a lot of work to do.
See, Truex is dropping another spot possibly here for the 22 car of Brad Keselowski. I think Brad's car is going to be coming to the front. I saw the first couple laps of the restart. His car was really free, like you talked about, Dale, on that track with all the rubber pulled up off of it. It seems like when the track gets rubber back in, this 22 car starts to the front.
Yeah, Ryan Truex is doing a nice job. Every time that he's been in this 20 car, you see a little bit more progress with him. But holding off that 22, I'm not sure that I wouldn't let him go on by and maybe try to learn a little bit. Doc, what are they saying about this 22?
Well, he's been free on exit and just getting freer and freer. And of course, changing 2 tires didn't help him. But now, what they did on that last stop, DJ, rubber out of the right rear, tape to the nose. They got it full of fuel. And now Brad K has got a rocket and trying to prove it.
Keselowski 1.9 seconds behind our race leader, and he's got his hands full right now trying to get around Ryan Truex. And watch him work the wheel here.
Yeah, Truex's car is really solid. I mean, we've seen it be a little twitchy, but it's fast. It's maintained its position pretty well all day.
Well, Truex, since getting this ride 3 races ago, 11th at Atlanta, his best of a 4th at Richmond, and a 13th at Chicago. Let's check in on the 30 of Jason Leffler. Now, remember, he took 2 tires on the first go-around. Vince, what are you hearing?
Yeah, the problem with the 30 right now, guys, is the fact, as you mentioned, he did take 4 on that second stop after 2 initially, but just reported he felt like he had a vibration, maybe a tire going down. The guys are up on the wall, but so far Leffler's staying out.
He is running 16th with Mike Bliss right behind him. And Bliss has been one of those unsung stories of the series lately. He has had some consistent top 15 runs. They're running 11th in the championship points.
I don't like that vibration talk I hear. That's usually a loose wheel after a pit stop.
This is one of those places, because we talk about the chatter that you get. As we see Brian Scott trying to take spot away from Ricky Stenhouse here, but that you'll get a vibration around this racetrack most of the time, but so you have to be really careful in trying to diagnose that. But if it's something you haven't had before, then you better be careful.
That is the battle for 7th between the 6th of Ricky Stenhouse and the 11th of Brian Scott. Jamie, give us an update on the 6th car.
Marty, you guys have talked about it, how loose the 6th car was. He's been stepping out all over the racetrack, but that's not his main issue. On that last round of stops, he said, I am tight in the center. That's the #1 issue. So they loosened them up, track bar adjustment, wedge out, and 4 tires got the car a little bit better. Vince?
And right out the back of that 6 car, you see the 11 of Brian Scott. Kind of the forgotten Joe Gibbs car. The 18 and the 20 gets most of the attention in the Nationwide Series, but it's been a real good run of late for the 11 of Brian Scott with Kevin Kidd and the by the way, guys, the 30 car is on its way in. They're going to pit and take the right side tires. Remember, we told you the 30 thought he had a tire going down. The 30 of Jason Leffler is coming in, and they're going to give the right side tires to Leffler.
Now, Andy,
well, they got a 50-50 chance of getting the right one in there.
Well, and you're not a big fan of this.
No, I'm not. If you're going to go ahead and bite the bullet and pit, make sure you fix the problem. You know, I know they might feel confident that it's the right side, but you're still only 50-50 on getting that.
So a bad break for Jason Leffler, who, of course, as we've documented a few races ago, still looking for either sponsorship to continue that ride with the Turner Motorsports team or looking to move on. There's your top 5.
Halfway in race 29 of this NASCAR Nationwide Series season. From the Monster Mile, overnight rain gave us a greener track. Drivers fighting a bit of conditions out there. Some slow and fast pit stops have led to some interesting strategies being played out. Welcome back to the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Dover One Main Financial 200. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all of your latest NASCAR information. Out front, it is Carl Edwards who has a lead over by more than a half a second over Clint Bowyer. He's been out front an awful lot today, 89 laps. The pole sitter, Elliott Sadler, led for 10. We've seen 5 lead changes and 3 cautions for 14 laps. And Rusty, I know who you're watching, Brian Scott.
Yeah, I've been watching Brian Scott. He's looking really well. In fact, his lap times have been hovering around the top 4 for many, many laps. And this is one of the best runs I've seen him make. You know, a couple weeks ago at Chicago, he finished 3rd. It was on the pole there. He's got a little momentum right now, Brad.
Yeah.
And that 11 car is looking good.
Yeah, he is looking good today. And the guy from East, Trevor Main, he has raced his way up into that 5th position. Has a strong run going. His lap times are mirroring almost Carl Edwards. So Trevor's doing a good job. Can get a caution, get caught up with Carl on a restart maybe. Maybe he'll have something.
Yeah, I tell you what, the one car I see some problems with right now is that number 7 car, Jamie McMurray. He's lost about 5 or 6 positions. And Jamie, I don't know what's going on with that car, but you probably do.
Well, Rusty, he was having some issues before that last round of stops. He said the throttle will only go down halfway, and then I have to let off, and then it'll go all the way down. I don't know what's going on. He said when he came in, they had a good pit stop. They made up 3 positions, but there's something weird going on with that gas pedal.
I'll tell you what, if you're having problems with the gas pedal out here, the last thing you want to have happen at this racetrack is have a throttle stick. Because I'm telling you what, you flat hit the wall hard here. These guys really get down that corner deep. Brad, could be a big problem for him.
Yep.
You know who's not having a problem with their gas pedal? That would be the guy that's been up front for 93 laps today, Carl Edwards. Dave, what's going on with him?
Well, maybe nothing so far, but about 10 laps ago, he said this.
The engine sounded a little funny down the back straight 2 laps ago. Make sure that 33 knows we might have trouble. Copy that.
He hasn't spoken about it since then, and neither has the 33 gotten around him. So Carl maintains the lead, but he's very conscious of what his motor is sounding like.
Now, what's interesting is this, is Edwards is the leader. His teammate is leading the championship. That's Ricky Stenhouse Jr., currently in 8th. If you know your teammate is maybe questioning that engine, what would be going on in Stenhouse Jr.'s mind?
Well, I think anytime you got the same engine as another fellow that's having a problem, it does go through your mind that maybe you've got the same thing might happen, whether it's a valve spring or a valve going bad or oil pressure problems. It could be many, many things. But from what Carl's saying, it could simply be just a carburetor problem, which is causing this problem, which really wouldn't be the same thing as Ricky. The internal parts of the motor, Nicole, is what I'd be concerned about if I was another driver like Ricky Stenhouse. Listen to Carl.
Stenhouse in 8th, but there's the leader, the 60, Carl Edwards. Marty?
Well, and you guys talked about the goal at the beginning of the race for the 60 car was to not allow Elliott Sadler to lead a single lap. That did not happen. He led the first 10, but Carl is just a few laps away from clinching the most laps led, so that will deny that bonus point to the 2 car. Let's go back a little bit further in the field and check in on Elliott Sadler and see how he is doing. He is running in the 9th position right now, guys.
That's not the biggest problem that you were talking about with the 60 car lead the most laps. The biggest problem with Elliott is his car is just not up to par right now. You know, he qualified on the pole. We felt like he had a good enough car to stay up there. Looked like he did the first run, and then after that, they have not been able to get it adjusted. Matter of fact, I think that last adjustment hurt him.
Well, hey, Doc, he told me before the qualifying session today that this car was going to be good on the long runs, but it doesn't seem to be working out that way.
Marty, he told me exactly the same thing. He thought they would be, and early on they lost lateral grip on the right rear coming up off the corner. They thought a track bar adjustment would make a difference, and as Andy said, he said on the radio, that didn't help, guys. If anything, it hurt me. They took a rubber out last time. That was that lengthy pit stop they had. That doesn't help much either. He still doesn't have much rear grip, being able to lean on that right rear coming up off. And DJ, most drivers like to be able to lean on that right rear and get back in the throttle here. So,
yeah, you sure do, Doc. It's a big help if you can have that security and stand in the throttle up out of the corner.
So the challenge for Elliott Sadler, make one more better adjustment that gets you back towards the front of this field. Let's talk about some ABC Saturday Night Football action, because Taylor Martinez and the 8th-ranked Cornhuskers are looking to stamp themselves as a Big Ten threat in their first game in the conference when they face Russell Wilson and the 7th-ranked Badgers. 2 top 10 teams, Nebraska and Wisconsin. Saturday Night Football is presented by Southwest Airlines. It's all part of Tailgate Week, fired up by Kingsford Charcoal at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. It's ABC tonight. Back here at Dover International Speedway with 77 laps to go. There is first and second right in your screen. In fact, zipping right on through. Carl Edwards in front of the 33 of Clint Boyer. Now those two have opened up a 4-second lead over the young 19-year-old who's running in 3rd place. Let's go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance, and Dave Burns, you're up first.
Pretty happy with his car right now. Crew Chief Jason Ratcliffe told me this morning that Ryan, being a quiet guy, doesn't give a lot of feedback, but what he gives to you is accurate. And when you give him what he needs, he is fast. And remember that adjustment we talked about, a little more turn at the beginning of the run, and it's worked out well for Ryan. The 60 car of Trevor Bayne gives great feedback as well, but sometimes Crew Chief Chad Norris tells me there's too much of a good thing. So to keep him from saying quite as much on the radio this week, they moved the radio talk button on his steering wheel. They moved it lower so that it was harder to get to. Trevor kind of laughed about it when we was asked about it today, but he says, I'm going to give him feedback anyway. So far, it's been all good. Doc?
Back behind him in 5th, Brad Keselowski says pulling the rubber out of the right rear helped for a little while, but now he says, I am free off the turn and basically lacking overall grip. He said, I've got to hit every single mark perfectly in order to drive this car aggressively lap after lap. Now, behind him is the 38 car of Casey Kane, and Casey has not said a single thing on the radio since the last pit stop, which means they have made the car much better with the track bar adjustment up and wedge in the left rear. Vince.
Running in 7th is the 11 car of Brian Scott. We told you a little bit earlier, sometimes you forget about Scott with all the attention the 18 and the 20 draw out of the Joe Gibbs camp, but this 11 team with crew chief Kevin Kidd have really been picking it up of late. 3rd off the pole at Chicagoland on the last race, and they're having another good run. It's a little bit too free for Brian right now, though. Jamie?
And Ricky Stenhouse behind him started the day off with Carl Edwards, same setup. He and Carl Edwards worked together throughout their one and only practice session yesterday, but the cars have gone in opposite directions. This was Ricky's radio.
Tight. We're going to blow this right front before it's over with. Well, don't do that. Just do what you got to do. Just keep it intact there, and we'll get you fixed up. Just be nice and smooth here. Got a lot of racing to do.
Saying he's so tight, he's worried he's going to blow that right front, and they're telling him just take it easy on your equipment. Meanwhile, they're telling him he's the fastest car on the track right now. Doc?
Back behind them, Elliott Sadler, who restarted after a lengthy pit stop to take a rubber out of the right rear in 12th position. Now he's up to 9th. But right now, Elliott is saying the car has just gotten really, really loose everywhere. Loose in and loose off. Elliott still believes if they finish in the top 5 the final 6 races, they, meaning the 2 car, will win the championship. Jamie.
And it's just been a loose kind of day for Joey Logano. They tried to get the car better. They put a spring rubber in the first stop, and it was only partially in, so it didn't help at all. The last stop, they dropped 2 lug nuts, and they got that spring rubber in, so the car's gotten a little bit better, but he's just hovering around the top 10 position. Let's go back upstairs to Marty.
And Jamie, he was brought in to drive that 18 for the Owners' Championship points. They came in leading by 30. Right now, the way they run, that margin would be cut to 16 because Carl Edwards is running out front. Now we also have a total of 16 cars on the lead lap behind Logano. It's Allgaier, Stephen Wallace, Reed Sorensen, Kenny Wallace, Mike Bliss, and Jamie McMurray. That's the 16. That's on the lead lap. In fact, McMurray is about to go down 1. To the NASCAR Nationwide Series here at Dover. One Main Financial 200. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. 61 laps to go. Carl Edwards has led 123. And boy, it's got to be a bit frustrating for the guy in second right there in the 33, Clint Boyer. It has been right around a half second. These guys are about evenly as matched as you possibly get at this stretch of the race.
Yeah, it just kind of seesaws a little bit. When Carl catches a lap car, Clint's able to close up a little bit. And then when Clint has to pass a car in a bad spot, he loses a little ground. But these cars really are very closely matched today.
Farther back in the field, our championship points leader, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., is running in the 7th position. And let's check in with Jamie Little.
Well, we reported on that story about the right front getting worn out on Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s radio. They continue to talk about it.
Do not overdrive that thing into a wreck, I'm telling you right now. You got to be smart and smooth and drive and think like a champion here. Just be smooth. We got a lot of time to go here.
Now they're telling him he is in control. Don't overdrive that car. Don't overdrive it into the corners, and be smart. There's only so many adjustments they can do to help him on pit road.
What can you do, Dale? I mean, really, when you've got an issue like that, the car's tight, how can you take care of that right front behind the wheel?
And Ricky Stenhouse is doing a little bit of it right there. You see, he's moved up on the racetrack some. You don't have to turn the wheel quite as much. Easing out of the throttle just a little bit. You can still drive it down in pretty good, but just roll out to where you're not loading that up so much. And be careful as you exit the corner not to put that load too much on it too by turning the wheel more. So there are things that you can do, but it's very, very difficult to try to get some speed and take care of the tire.
And the thing he has to keep in mind is the two guys he's battling for this championship. Elliott Sadler's behind him in 11th. Reed Sorensen is running 13th.
Yeah, this is a young man that just, when he straps in that race car, he thinks about one thing, and that's going as fast as that race car will possibly go. First time really battling for a championship, so these are things he's going to have to learn.
Yeah, and he's getting good advice from the roof, from his spotter, because that, you know, he needs that. He needs somebody to tell him, hey, look at this big picture here, because in the blink of an eye, if that right front goes down, he's not going to be leading the points.
And one thing I have watched him, though, throughout this day is he gets in the corner a lot harder than the cars that he's been racing around. So that's one way that you really abuse that tire.
This green flag stretch has been 66 laps since we came back from our last caution. And there is your race leader, Carl Edwards. He's led 129 of them. He has led the most laps in both of his Dover wins and all 6 of his wins in 2011. It's a good sign for him and bad for everybody else.
Back at Dover,
Strong.
race leader Carl Edwards has just put Reed Sorensen a lap down, but on the track earlier in our 5-hour energy rapid recap, the points leader, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., having a bit of a handling issue today.
Yeah, he was real concerned with his car earlier. The car just wasn't handling right for him. They made some major adjustments to the car. They've actually got a lot better now. But take a look at his pit stop. Real tight pit stop leaving. Ricky gets out. Elliott Sadler has a problem back there. Making a chassis adjustment, really falls a lot of spots.
Yeah, Elliott Sadler was a pole sitter coming into this, but hurt a little bit by that pit stop. How impressive has Ryan Truex been?
Outstanding job for Ryan Truex. We've seen him a couple of times this year in this Gibbs car, and he's run really strong. He is absolutely performing well today, running 3rd right now. Strong run for this young man who's destined to be a star.
Some perspective on that. He was 18th here in May, running 2 laps down. He's now 3rd. In the 18 car today, Joey Logano, fighting for the Owners' Championship, had some trouble on pit road earlier. As they run right now, that lead in the Owners' Championship over the 60 car about cut in half. And Rusty, how about this guy? Brian Scott, currently running up towards the front in 8th.
Yeah, I tell you, he's picked up a couple positions from the start of the race. Right now, he just moved into 7th position. And I tell you, he's having one of the best runs he's had for a long time.
Let's get more on that 20 car. Ryan Truex going down. Dave, what's going on?
He wants more. He wants more fuel. He wants more tires. So Ryan Truex will be coming down to pit road at this point. He said he was told whatever you're doing on your laps, you're a lot better than you were before. So it looks like they're just going to change 4 tires, a little wedge adjustment for Ryan right now. He starts this round of pit stops.
And they're coming under the green flag. You saw the number 2 of Elliott Sadler as he was about to go a lap down. He is making his pit stop. And this should be the last round of pit stops. There is the number 2. And He needs a much better stop than the last time. Let's go to Jamie Little. The 18's in.
And Joey Logano, he's just saying he's loose all day, which is the exact opposite of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Air pressure adjustment for the 18, wedge and 4 tires. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side, the leader is in, Doc.
Elliott Sadler, major chassis adjustment. Elliott said, I just can't take it anymore. The car is so loose, almost sideways, almost wrecking sideways. Major chassis adjustment and 4 tires plus Sunoco. Dave.
The leader has come to pit road. Carl Edwards wants the air back in the fronts the way it was. Maybe a wedge adjustment as well. The car gets a little tight, late center of the gas. You see the wrench in the rear window, and the caution is out.
Yellow's out.
So the caution comes out, our 4th of the day. And there's the 60 just finally getting back off pit road. The 33 of Clint Boyer getting off pit road. There's Brian Scott. Waiting to hear official word for the reason for the caution.
You can see the damage on
the 11 of Brian Scott. Oh, look at this. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and...
Oh, my. There's your caution.
The view from Stenhouse.
It's like Brian Scott just tried to get too much, getting down to the pit road speed.
One more look. Scott was 7th.
Just can't quite
Can't
get
make
it turned.
it.
Man.
And that is sand that those barrels are full. And Vince, what do you hear?
Well, it's unfortunate because Kevin Kidd, the crew chief, had just told Brian Scott to be careful on entry to the pits because of the fact that they are the very first box, and this is a difficult enough pit lane to get onto from the track anyway. So dangerous to begin with, had given him a warning, didn't work out. Jamie?
And Ricky Stenhouse Jr., of course, was on pit road. The caution came out, and he had to bypass his pit stop and stayed out. So right now he is 7th, and they're just telling him on the radio, stay out until they open pit road, and we'll bring you down.
Well, for those of you who have great memories, this is something that's similar to what happened to Matt Kenseth a few years ago here at Dover.
This is one of the hardest tracks to get on pit road, Dale.
Yeah, well, it is difficult to get on pit road. You're carrying a lot of speed. You want to make time. Matt Kenseth didn't fare too well there, for sure. We keep showing that over and over. Of course, Brian Scott, that was to the inside. These are put up right there at the edge of the wall.
Yeah, they've
that separates the track.
reconfigured this whole thing here. They reconfigured pit road. They moved that entrance up, back more.
And there's exactly what they were talking about. There's the 11 pit stall, the very first one in, and Brian was having a difficult time making the turn, and the end result is our 4th caution with 40 laps to go here at Dover. All right, back here at Dover, we'll sort out what happened to those guys that pitted just as the caution came out. Here are the cars still on the lead lap, led by Brad Keselowski, as he is now making a stop with Casey Kane right behind him. And Dr. Jerry Punch there, heading your way.
Indeed.
So as those two work their way down, we'll get down to Doc as soon as we can. And you see the other cars that were also on the lead lap, Trevor Bayne, Clint Boyer. And now let's send it to Doc.
All right, Marty, down here on pit road, final pit stop of the day. Brad Keselowski says the car is tight on landing, but a 4 or 5 loose on exit. So it's air pressure, track bar, and tape. Now in front of him is a 38 car of Casey Kane. He says the car not bad, gives a little more grip, wedge out, and air pressure on Casey Kane. Updating on Stenhouse, Jamie.
And Ricky Stenhouse finally got the stop he was trying to get. They made a roundup wedge in the right rear, 4 tires, and filled it up with Sunoco fuel. They had a little scare, though. They were worried they were out of fuel, but he was just fine, Marty.
All right, so Stenhouse comes back out onto the track. We can't tell you that, remember Boyer and Edwards, they were in pit road when the caution came out. They were able to get back out. They stayed on the lead lap. We'll have to wait for all the scoring to cycle through now with everybody else making their stops. And we'll be able to reset and show you exactly how many cars are going to restart this race on the lead lap. As there you see another group, the group that's 1 lap down, now making their way down pit road. cleanup continues at pit in. You saw the Bobcat. I don't think the Bobcat is going to get out on the track, but they're going to try and get that mess cleaned up. A couple of cars are going to have to go to the back of the field on the restart, one of them being third place in the championship points. Reed Sorensen came in when the pits were closed. Also going back to the back, too fast, exiting the 66 of Stephen Wallace. Now, he was 12th before the green flag stops began. The 62, his teammate of Michael Annett, will get the lucky dog, and that should give us a total now of 12 cars on the lead lap. And you're wondering who is the race leader? Well, it's Carl Edwards, and then Brad Keselowski, Kasey Kahne.
Well, you see Reed Sorensen, he is being shown second right behind Carl Edwards. He'll have to go to the back.
Yeah.
He just couldn't quite wait out opening up the pit road. He probably low on fuel and didn't want to take a chance on running it out of fuel.
With 36 laps to go, everybody should definitely be able to go the distance. We've seen a run of what was over 66 laps of green flag before the first round started there, or this last round of stops. So tires should not be an issue.
No, it shouldn't be. Just a short run to the end. You see all they've got here the last 35 laps or so.
I saw Kenny Wallace there. It's not been the kind of day he wanted. He is one lap down in 16th position. There is Elliott Sadler. And Sadler is one lap down, shown in 17th.
Yeah, he's going to be taking the wave around here, and that's what's got him the one lap down. But big change up in the points here now with that happening.
All right, let's check in on Trevor Bayne's situation. He's shown in 7th place right now. What are you hearing, Dave?
Here's what we were hearing just a few moments ago from Trevor, Marty.
Well, this is the fuel pressure B right now. Should be around 8 or 9 right now. It says 7 right now, but it's not blinking. Okay, it's going back up, I think. I don't know. It keeps moving. Yeah, 10-4. It's going to. We just got to have that 7 pounds or so to keep it running.
When Brian Scott hit the barrels and the caution came out, he was very low on fuel. They thought they were going to have to put some in through the cowl. They did not. They got the pressure in by putting fuel in by way of the tanks. For more on this situation, let's go to Tim Brewer.
Thanks, guys. We run a mechanical fuel pump. It's actually driven off of a cable at the back of the car. But as the fuel comes up through the 15 feet of fuel line, right here at the carburetor, we have a regulator. And what we can do, we can control the fuel pressure that's put to the carburetor. Some guys like it about 7.5 pounds. Some guys run as much as 9 pounds. But it's regulated right here. Guys?
From the Craftsman Tech Garage, Tim Brewer updating us in his usual good fashion.
Yeah, that 7 pounds sounds about right to me. Listening to that transmission from Trevor, that might have been the first time he's actually looked at that gauge.
Well, you heard the guys talking about the wave arounds. We're actually trying to get the exact count, but there is going to be quite a few of them. It looks like there'll be at least 11 when they finally get to go, and here it comes now. And those that are going to be a lap down include, there you see the number 2 car of Elliott Sadler, so he will be one of those getting back on the lead lap. And there is your race leader, Carl Edwards. He has led 145 of the 166 that we have completed. So of the 11 wave arounds, the 20 of Ryan Truex, the 11 of Brian Scott, the 31 of Justin Allgaier will all be back on the lead lap.
Yeah, the 2 car of Elliott Sadler will still be 1 lap down.
Correct. I wanted to bring that up to date because scoring showed him 1, but then again, they had just crossed the start and finish line.
Well, just kind of luck of the draw is when you make that stop and how you get caught.
Well, he had almost lost a lap on the track. If not, he was right in front of the leader. When he came down pit road, he basically lost a lap there and then lost another one.
Worst part about it is he's not in the lucky dog position either.
Well, they have to race his way into that spot.
Okay, it's Edwards, Keselowski, Sorensen, Kahne, and Bowyer. That is your top 5. Total of 12 cars on the lead lap. Green flag's in the air, and we're racing again at Dover. Sorensen is shown out right there, and we were told he was going to have to go to the back, so we'll have to wait and see what we're getting word from NASCAR. We'll get you an update as soon as we get word from them.
There's no doubt what he came down pit road early.
Yeah, he did pit early. He pitted before pit road was actually open.
On board with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's got his hands full with the 33 of Clint Bowyer.
If Keselowski can hold close here to Carl Edwards. Nobody's really been able to stay too close on these restarts to him. Clint Boyer trying to make his way back up there.
They're all going under the 32 of Reed Sorensen. On board with Trevor Bayne. He's running in 7th. Still waiting from NASCAR officials as to what is going to happen to this 32 car. Meanwhile, up front, there goes your race leader, Carl Edwards. Brad Keselowski in 2nd spot. Does this surprise you? Talking to each of them before qualifying today, Carl said Brad had the best car. Brad said Carl had the best car.
Well, Carl has had the best car today during the race, but the 22 car has been struggling some. Now, I think this last pit stop they made another adjustment. Looks like he's a lot better.
Yeah, and I think maybe they adjusted their car from that 2-tire stop, and that might have got him off on that last run. We see Ricky Stenhouse, our points leader here. He's looking for really a big day in the points right here. I know he wants to continue to go forward, but the main thing he should do is finish these last 30 laps with no problems.
Well, and right now he would have a 24-point lead over 2nd place, Elliott Sadler, based on where they're running.
Yeah, he's got Elliott Sadler trapped 1 lap down. He's out there in free traffic. No cars around him much in the top 5, so all he needs to do is just run these last 29 laps out.
And again, we're still waiting for official word from NASCAR about what they're going to do with that 32 car. Sorensen right now shown in 7th position with Trevor Bayne right in front of him. Whoa, and Mike Wallace.
That's a broken track bar mount right there. That's what I was talking. This track is just so hard on suspension parts. It's like that track bar bracket broke. Vince?
I'm in the garage. I'm going to the garage area. It's broke. You probably don't have...
Okay, so you heard him there that he acknowledged that it's broke. He's going to go right to the garage area. He's running 27th. No caution on the racetrack. He was able to keep everything down on the apron. It allows us to stay green with now 27 laps to go. The 11 of Brian Scott, who brought out our last of 4 cautions. Trying to get around the 62 of Michael Annett. That is for 10th position. He was one of the cars that was able to get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, that was a big break for Michael Annett, the way that caution flag flew.
Brian Scott, just kind of another day is what the 2011 season has been like. A lot of competitive days that for one reason or another, and this time it was a mistake by the driver that has kept them from really having solid runs and finishes.
Justin Allgaier trying to force something right here.
We're still waiting for official word from NASCAR as to whether or not they're going to deal with the 32 now or after the race.
Yeah, I just wonder what the issue is. I mean, it was clear that he pitted before the pit road was open.
He's shown in 7th position. Vince, what are you hearing?
Well, guys, the 32 of Reed Sorensen had to come onto pit road after the yellow had already come out because he was sputtering on the backstretch and was going to run out of fuel. But Trent Owens, the crew chief, completely expected to be sent to the back of the pack. But when they didn't tell him to go to the back, they lined up right where they were on track, and that's where they restarted.
So they're saying they were not told by NASCAR to go to the rear, and therefore they shouldn't.
Well, I wouldn't go back there either till they told me.
Well, we'll wait to see what happens here from the NASCAR side of things. And as we check in on this action going for 10th, as you've got Allgaier, Annett, and Scott.
Yeah, Justin Allgaier in that 31 car has been in the top 10 much of the day. And he's had a pretty fast race car.
Side by side. Ryan in the 11. Michael in the 62, and Jamie McMurray saying, I'd like to play with this, but McMurray, remember, is a lap down in 18th position. It's not been a great day for Junior Motorsports because Almirola also having a bit of a struggle today. Let's get an update on the 11, Vince.
The good news when Brian Scott hit that pit entry and all those sand barrels is the fact that he did not damage the splitter. And it did push in that right front, right around the headlight area, but they didn't damage the splitter, and they really felt like the damage was mostly cosmetic, and it wasn't going to hurt them nearly as much as what you might think. So rallying here to try to get a top 10 for Brian Scott, and that'd be a big salvage, guys.
Could have been a lot worse, that's for sure. He's still got his hands full side by side. Michael Annett is not surrendering that position.
Now you have to believe that it is affecting the car. I mean, if you run 170 miles an hour here, yeah, the aero will take effect, obviously. So you have to think that maybe not driving quite as good as what it was.
Yeah, I'm like Marty, though. That's pretty good that he can run as fast as he's running now after hitting those barrels, because it looks like it's going to be really bad. There's Chad Knaus, Steve Letarte.
Oh, what's going on there, Jamie Little?
Well, I'll tell you, crew chief's work is never done. You see Chad Knaus walking there, just leaving the Cup garage, and he has made the walk from one end of pit road all the way to the other, and he's looking at tires. I think now the camera's on, he's not looking at them any longer, but he's doing a little investigating just to see how the tire wear has been in our race. Of course, all eyes going to be on the 48 tomorrow, sitting 10th in points, the lowest they've ever been in the chase, and of course this weekend being the third race of the chase. Marty?
And of course, that team needs a big bounce back, and everybody knows it. And so Chad doing his homework. Meanwhile, out on the track, there is your race leader, Carl Edwards. There's the gap between first and second, between he and Brad Keselowski. 17 laps to go. For more on that 60 car, let's check in with Dave Burns.
Well, Marty, as crew chief told me, one of the reasons why Carl is so good here, he's already won here twice in the Nationwide Series, is because he drives that car, quote-unquote, off the right rear. He says he likes the feeling just a little bit rolled over on the right rear tire. He says Carl is so connected from the right rear to the steering wheel. He said it should be tight when you look at the setup on paper, but the way Carl drives it, it's just fast.
It works. That's all I can say. You know, everybody doesn't adapt to this concrete surface. Carl Edwards has obviously done that. He's found a field that he's looking for, and when you get something like that, you just have to forget, Andy, kind of what the setup shows it should be and give the driver what he needs.
And that's exactly right. I've seen that too. You know, some drivers just drive the car differently, and the same setup will make the car handle completely different if you have a different driver in it. So you just give him what he wants, and Carl Edwards, it's like he can take just about anything on concrete and make it work.
Let's look at Mike Bliss right there in the 19. You want to talk about a team that's, you know, they don't have a big budget. He's running 9th right now on the racetrack. Elliott Sadler in the 2 car is 1 lap down. He is second in line for the lucky dog. The guy he's got to chase is the 18 of Joey Logano.
He's getting down to it now, though. There's only 13 laps to go.
See Ryan Truex there, who's had a great run. He's in the 8th spot in that 20 car. He's had a good run, a top 5 car and driver all day long. Got caught, unfortunately, in that round of pit stops under the green when the caution came out.
And we documented how his season has gone. His career best, of course, back at Richmond in this car in 4th when he came home there. And now the lap's winding down, and looks like he's on his way to another top 10.
Yeah, he was a solid 3rd whenever he made that pit stop. You know, we had shown after that one restart, he and the 22 car, Brad Keselowski, running together. He literally drove away from Keselowski. So been a solid day. Just things didn't go his way to get the finish that he really deserves.
Yeah, he was a big loser in that round when that caution came out. One of the big winners was Casey Kane in that 38. He has not really been up in the top 5 at all today, and when that caution flag fell, it felt just right for him.
Yeah, and the other guy's a big winner is right behind Casey Kane there in the 5th spot. Our points leader, Ricky Stenhouse. This has all worked out great for him to increase that points lead. He's got himself a nice little cushion. Going to have a nice day. He's actually the first regular Nationwide driver in that 5th spot.
He said if we could get a top 5, he would take it. If he thought he had a car that could win, he would take it. Let's get more from Jamie Little.
And just at the right time, this is the best the car has been all day. And DJ, you said he's got himself a little cushion. Well, tomorrow's his birthday, so he's going to sit back and relax and enjoy the finish they ended up with today.
He will be 24 years old tomorrow, so we'll wish him a happy birthday. His teammate, Trevor Bayne, there he is in the 16, as he is running 6th position. And boy, this team has been, shall we call, snake bit ever since he came out of the hospital. They have had some tough breaks. And here he's got a good run going. Let's get more from Dave Burns.
And he tells us that one of the reasons why he's running so much better right now is new crew chief Chad Norris, since Bristol of this year, starts with the Carl Edwards setup on his car. They never did that before. They start with Carl's setup, then they tweak it for Trevor. And he said that's made a huge difference. He likes it.
Yeah, I like the way Chad Norris communicates with Trevor, too. I think they've got some good things ahead of them.
He had the one top 10 finish in his last 6 starts. He missed this race in May because remember that he watched that race on TV from the hospital.
Now, I'm pretty sure he's just hoping he gets through these next 7 laps with nothing the way their season has gone. And a good solid day for them here.
Let's go back to the battle for second place. Brad Keselowski and Clint Bowyer. It's starting to tighten up. There you can see just how close it is. And now with just 6 laps to go.
Might be too late for Clint Bowyer, but right now he does have the fastest car. If he can get by this 22 of Brad Keselowski, he might be able to mount a little bit of a charge.
They're both trying to chase down that 60 of Carl Edwards. There he is in the blue and white. And the laps just keep clicking off. This time by, there are 5 laps to go.
See, Carl was getting held up there a little bit by the lap car.
That's Fane Skinner in the 39. He's several laps down. Here comes Keselowski to clear. And the 33.
Yeah, he's had it hung out, and these drivers tell me as they get about this distance, about 2 to 3 car lengths away from a car, they start losing the nose a little bit. It makes it more difficult. They can run these cars down, but then making that pass is more difficult.
4 laps to go for Carl Edwards. He leads everybody in concrete wins in the Nationwide Series. This will be number 9 if he can finish the deal. It will also time for his season high in victories. He collected 7. Yeah.
Clint got way out of shape getting into turn 3.
And lost a lot of ground.
I know he was driving it hard. You have to wonder if he had the tire going down at all or if that was just trying to overdrive to get to the back bumper of Brad Keselowski.
Well, that gives Brad a little bit of rebreathing room as we've got about 2.5 laps to go. We mentioned the 7 wins. If he can pull it off, that would tie his 2008 mark. He won the championship. And there is the numbers, as you can see. It would tie that mark for 2008, and he is just 2 laps away from completing the deal.
Well, I tell you, when they brought Mike Beam over just a year ago to this race team, it has really made a big difference. Mike is a very smart individual, been around this sport a long time, has worked hard, but he and Carl Edwards really click as a team.
White flag one more time.
It'll be his 9th win with crew chief Mike Beam if he can just complete 1 more mile here at the Monster. And remember, he told us before the race, he says, my Cup car is better than my Nationwide car. Well, he is going to lead 179 laps. And Carl Edwards coming through the last couple of corners, some slower traffic ahead of him, but it's not going to deter him. Here at Dover, Carl's going to win on the concrete again.
Oh, man, good job. Awesome, awesome. It's been a great year working with you, Mike. It's over for sure, right? Yes, sir. I guess.
Just want to make sure the checker flag is out.
The race is over, Carl. You got the win. And I think the fans are going to get a visit in the stands again.
Yeah, it was actually over quite a few laps ago as far as the rest of the competition was concerned.
It'd been over a long time ago.
Yeah, we had 4 different leaders. Keselowski and Sadler each led 10 laps. Mike Wallace stayed out to lead 1 lap. Carl led the other 179. But we had a lot of action going on behind him, that's for sure.
They made some runs at him. They just could never get to him and put enough pressure on him for him to make a mistake.
His 36th career win, 9th on concrete, more than anybody else in Nationwide history. We've documented that before, and there he is, waiting to climb out of the car on the front stretch here at Dover. Well, if his Cup car is better than today's car, tomorrow everybody could be in trouble.
Hey, this backflip's tricky on this bank.
I read about that too. I was thinking about what Marty was talking about, that 9 degrees of banking here.
Yep, here he goes. And look, it sends him backwards, but he recovers nicely.
Not going to give him a 10. He didn't quite stick that way.
The Russian judge didn't like it, huh?
No. He gets a 10 for the driving ability today. I will give him that.
Here he comes up into the stands. This has become his trademark.
Fans love him for it, too.
And as he's celebrating, let's catch up with a very happy crew chief. How about it, Dave?
Yeah, Mike couldn't even watch the backflip. He didn't want to see what could have occurred, but he nailed it, just like you did on the setup. You told me this morning you were doing just a little bit of guessing. You guessed right.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out well for us. We really was watching the weather, and Scott Gray's my engineer. He's the best. He's the best engineer there is. I mean, he works really hard at it, and of course Carl, he kept wearing me out last night on the phone, and finally said, man, just wait and see if it rains. And then I looked out the window and it was raining. So, it's like, okay, well, we'll decide in the morning, and the sun was out. So, really had to load it up there. And, I knew it was going to have that competition caution at lap 40. So, I really wanted to, get the thing to fire off there. And it worked out well, and it's like I kept watching the 33 and I go, man, I don't know if I can make it any better. I probably can make it worse. And, we took a little chance there at the end, and it worked out good, but, I got to thank all the guys there, at our Concord shop there, and like I said, Al Allen's body guys, they do a great job, and, I'm saying, Jeff Silver and Kyle Zossi and Dunlap and those guys, and, Diesel, he helps us a lot, the guy, so, I mean, and this engine ran great, Jack. But I got to thank, Fastenal, of course, and, Valvoline, and that next-gen oil is still working very well for us. And, and definitely Ford Motor Company for all their support. We had this car in the tunnel, worked hard on it, so all the hard work's paid off.
Congratulations, Mike. Hey, DJ, did you ever wear your crew chief out to a victory?
Yeah, a few times, yeah. There were a couple of long nights, making phone calls. I think it's finally to the point they wouldn't answer me anymore.
Well, Carl has 5 nationwide Cup weekend sweeps. That ties him with Kyle Busch. Will he be doing this tomorrow? Well, we'll find out.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Dover. Brought to you by GoDaddy.com. Domains, websites, and everything in between.
That was Miles the Monster here at Dover International. Let's talk about what's coming up on the calendar. We've got the Auto Plus NHRA Nationals. It's qualifying tonight, 12:30 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Then also on ESPN2 tomorrow, NASCAR Now twice, 9 a.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern. The Sprint Cup Series race here at Dover on ESPN tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Final eliminations from the Auto Plus NHRA Nationals in Reading, 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. And the NASCAR Nationwide Series, our next stop at Kansas next Saturday, 3 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. The rain held off. There's Victory Lane. Let's talk to our winner.
Yeah, he gets a shower first, and then we can talk to him. How about that? Do you realize, with your 7th win of the season here, you're now the all-time leader on concrete, 9 wins on concrete, and big time here at Dover today.
That's great. I have to thank Fastenal, Bodyguard, all the folks that are on the car. I went to Fastenal this week, and I bought a neat Milwaukee tool set, and I did a little work around the house. It was really fun, so I appreciate these guys being on board. I got to thank Ford. This Mustang was great. We got next-gen oil in this thing, and I got something on the grill, and oil temp was 320 degrees or something, and that's recycled oil we won the race with, so that's great. And all the fans, Aflac Insurance, and Nationwide. This series is so much fun. This track is so much fun. And everything went great other than my backflip, which was terrible. I was nervous about doing it on the banking, but just an awesome day.
And we understand your Cup car is even better tomorrow?
Our Cup car is very, very good. So, hopefully we'll get a win with that Aflac Ford. And I have to say, happy birthday to Caitlin Landis. This is what she wanted for her birthday. And I also want to say hi to my Aunt Terry and the whole Thrasher family. They're going through a tough time right now. And we love you guys, and we're thinking about you.
All right, Carl wins only his 2nd ever win in the month of October in the Nationwide Series. Vince?
Standing by with Elliott Sadler, 2nd in the points championship, but that points chase took a little bit of a hit today. That yellow came out at an inopportune time right there in that final caution. How about your race car in general today?
Yeah, we were a little bit too loose today. It seemed like when the cloud cover came on and the track cooled down, we actually just loosened up a little bit too much. My car would get too free, but I still feel like we had a top 10 car, and the last adjustment, my car was a lot better, but as soon as we pitted, the caution come out, and we've had a few of those this year where the cautions hadn't gone our way. So it definitely put us in a bigger hole. But just Ernie and I were just talking about, we're not giving up. We got 5 races left. Anything can happen. We just got to show up each week and do the best job we can and get all the points we can and see where that puts us.
What do you think's kept you guys out of victory lane? You've had so many good runs this year, but just haven't quite been able to get over that hump.
Yeah, I got to do a better job in practice. I get my car better for how I like it for long runs and things like that. So I didn't do a good job yesterday on seeing how much the track was going to change once they got rubber on it today. So I got to do a better job of getting my car better in practice to be able to get in the victory lane. So we got a great race team, and they definitely deserve to go to victory lane. They work very hard. They give me really good race cars each and every week. We got to find that next level to be able to find it. And I think we're going to have to win a race or two to get back in the middle of this.
Yeah, it takes a total team effort. Elliott Sadler 14th today. Doc?
And finishing second, Brad Keselowski comes over. There's Casey King coming over to chat for a second. We'll talk to Casey in just a moment. Brad, big swing at it at final pit stop, and it got you closer, but what were you missing on that last run?
Ooh, you know, I almost felt like we were first in class. You know, the Roush cars are just so much faster than everybody right now, and I thought it was all handling until the restarts, man. Carl just motored it. So, you know, we did a great job with our Ruby Tuesday Dodge Challenger here, and had some great strategy. I really felt when that yell came out, if I could have got ahead of Carl, that would have maybe caught a break. We could have stole one, but Carl was just way faster than everybody else. So we did a good job doing the best we could, and I'm proud of my team.
A good run for Brad K. Finishing second today. Jamie.
And Clint Boyer brings it home third, and now he's going to start talking to Ricky Stenhouse, and we'll talk to him in a second. But, Clint, you guys rolled the dice a little bit on strategy. Took 2 tires and then 4 tires. Was that the right move?
Well, it turns out it wasn't. It was a little bit unclear what was going on right there. Obviously, we pitted, and the caution came out, and, you know, we had to come back and take 4 tires. Fun day, you know. Just got beat. Got beat up all day by Carl. He was a little bit off. I mean, I could get to him, then I'd kind of get in his way, could start getting loose and squirrely, and you just have to back off. You couldn't stay up there and put the pressure on him, you know. There's a buffer there, it seems like, with these cars, and your car's, you know, its tongue's hanging out. That's it. There ain't no more, and unfortunately, we got beat. Brad got in there and snookered us there at the end, and you know, beat us. You know, finished second. But, you know, really just want to say hey to Dale and Shay McDowell. They lost their mother, you know, last evening. And just want to say we're thinking about you, boys.
All right, thanks. Clint Boyer brings it home third. Let's go over to Vince.
Standing by with Reed Sorensen. Reed brings it home 7th today. And we were talking before the race how much you liked this track, but yet you had been concerned because the car wasn't very good leading up to the race. Did it get better?
It got a little better. We just had so many unknowns with the race car going into the race because of all the changes we made before qualifying. I think the best we were going to be today was somewhere around 10th. We had about a 10th place car. We made good adjustments on our pit stops. We felt like we got the back of the car right where we wanted it. The front just wasn't good, and that's kind of something we struggled with the whole weekend, just getting the front underneath the car. Just never turned, and I don't know what it was or what the problem was. We'll try to figure it out. But all in all, it's a top 10 day for the Dollar General car. And can't thank the guys hard enough on pit road. They had good pit stops and gained us a few spots. So all in all, it was a good ending for a weekend that could have been a lot worse.
A little bit confusing. Well, that final yellow came out when Brian Scott hit the barrier at the beginning of pit road. You were about to run out of fuel, so you had to come on pit road under the yellow. They allowed you to restart up toward the front, 3rd or 4th, I think. Were you surprised that you weren't sent to the back?
Well, I didn't really know what was going on with. I knew some cars had to do wave arounds, and I knew there was a bunch of cars a lap down. So all I know is my spotter said line up behind this car, and that's what I did. So I don't know if it was a mistake or not, but I don't know if it would have affected us too much where we finished. It might have, but I don't think it would have too much.
Yeah, sometimes you come out on the right end of those. Well done. That's Reed Sorensen finishes 7th today, Marty.
Well, and let's explain exactly what happened. There should have been message relayed from NASCAR to his team saying, hey, you've got to go to the back because you pitted too early. NASCAR did not get the information to the 32 team. After we went back to Green Flag Racing, NASCAR said there's nothing we can do because that was our mistake, not theirs.
Yeah, sometimes you get a break along the way, you know, and that's just what happened there. Just the line of communication wasn't transmitted there, so the 32 car got a break, and they made the most of it.
Yeah, and there's nothing to say that they couldn't have driven right back to where they finished, and that's why they can't really impose a penalty after the fact. So it's all water under the bridge, and here we go to the next one.
Well, we ended up with 12 cars on the lead lap, and he finishes 7th. So as you said, it may not have been all that much, but I'm sure it'll get some of the people talking out there as far as how that came down. How about the ticket to the race? Because we're down to 5 races here in the Nationwide Series. Our next stop at Kansas and then Charlotte. And then we have a couple weeks off, and we'll wrap it up with 3 in a row at Texas, Phoenix, and Homestead, Miami. And let's check in with the man who now has a 22-point lead in the championship chase. How about it, Jamie Little?
Well, we talked a lot about him today because that car was not where you wanted it to be. But at the end, just when it counts, it was the best all day long. Take us through it.
It was. I mean, that's all you can ask for, is to work on it all day long. And Mike Kelly and the guys on the Blackwing, Spieth, and Cargill Mustang did an awesome job all day. Kept making changes. We weren't making it better, and then that last run we made it a little bit better. But then we were fighting a different issue. So it was an up and down day, but a solid day for us, good points day, and I think that's really all we got to do. We got to run top 5, and I think we're capable as a race team to do that. And just proved today that we didn't have the best car. We worked on it and came home top 5.
How about Brian Scott and you coming down pit road, and all of a sudden everything is locked up and he hits the barrels?
I'm gonna have to go back and look at it, because I saw him to the outside. I got to pit road as good as I could. I think that's the best I've ever gotten to pit road under green. And I was really excited about it. And then all of a sudden I hear something on the outside, and I saw him hit the barrel. And then I was just lucky that he didn't come down and get us. But I'm going to have to go back and look at it.
All right, 22-point lead. He's your point leader still. Vince?
If you like underdog stories, you like what Mike Bliss did today. And this underfunded team, this 19 team, brings it home 9th, first top 10 since last October. How'd you guys do it?
Well, with very limited resources. Mark Smith's our owner, and he's doing it out of his pocket. So I don't know why, but he is, and thankfully he is. But we're just, we got good race cars. We got a good little crew. We got good guys at the shop. And there's a lot of areas we can get better, but I think our race cars are pretty close.
And one thing you didn't mention, you got a pretty good guy behind the wheel as well. He brought it home 9th tonight. Doc?
Yeah, how about the 5th top 5 finish of the year for Kasey Kahne? And Kasey, we talk about how running these Saturday races does have some impact on what happens on Sunday. What do you glean today from 200 laps that'll help you with 400 laps tomorrow?
Well, the biggest thing is just the track's going to take a lot of rubber tomorrow. It'll get thick, and if the sun's out, it's going to get really slippery. Today, it didn't get that slippery, but it took rubber. Tomorrow, it'll take more with the horsepower that our Cup cars have, and should be interesting. I look forward to tomorrow's race. I wish today was sunny, because I think it'd slide around more and you'd be able to move around. But our team, everybody in the Great Clip Chevrolet did a great job today, and we got 4th. We need to keep working on it. We didn't have anything for those top 3, but we definitely were the 4th place car today.
Well done, bud.
All right, thank you.
Kasey Kahne, guys.
Well, this week on ABC's Saturday Night Football, Taylor Martinez and the 8th-ranked Cornhuskers look to stamp themselves as a Big Ten threat in their first game in the conference when they face Russell Wilson and the 7th-ranked Badgers. 2 top 10 teams, Nebraska and Wisconsin, in Saturday Night Football, presented by Southwest Airlines as part of Tailgate Week, fired up by Kingsford Charcoal at 8 Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific tonight on ABC. Back to the race here at Dover. Rusty, you just said that last caution was really a tough break for Elliott Sadler.
Yeah, that really was. He did need that last caution. It got him a lap down, got him way behind, and that was something chasing for a championship you need to have happen. If you don't run close enough to the front, you can get yourself in that problem. And Elliott's car was just too loose today for him.
And it really did hurt him in the points right now. The lead for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is 22 points. Elliott Sadler is still second. Reed Sorensen still third. Not much change there at all. Anything in the top 10. 74 points back to Eric Almirola, Brad, who you had high hopes for earlier today.
Well, I've just been watching Eric all season long, and they've done a good job. He and Pop Seary have done a good job this race team. They've made strides, struggled today. But going back, I really think that you look at what Ricky Stenhouse has done over the past several weeks. Elliott Sadler just has not been able to close that gap. So if he continues to do what he's doing, he's going to win this championship.
And what was interesting, before the race, Elliott Sadler said, I don't think I have to win a race to win this championship. After the race, he said, I think I need to win 1 or 2. Another thing that stood out to us today, tire strategy. In the spring race, in the Cup Series, Matt Kenseth took 2 tires, and it ended up winning him the race. Today, 2 tires did not get it done.
No, 2 tires didn't get it done, and the crew chiefs on the Cup side will be looking at what happened today and really trying to make a decision where they want to try that 2-tire stop tomorrow. I expect the weather, Brad, to be a little bit different tomorrow, and these Cup cars are different animals, that's for sure.
A lot more horsepower, a lot more bite into the racetrack, and it should be hopefully a little sunnier tomorrow. Really surprised, though, today how uneventful this race was, though. This racetrack can be treacherous on race cars and making decisions, right decisions. We saw hardly none of that today. It was a good, clean race, and I'm really surprised. And congratulations once again to Ryan Truex, who should have finished in that top 5, and Mike Bliss. What an outstanding day for old Mike Bliss. Did a good job.
Mike Bliss, 9th, Truex, 8th. Carl Edwards, once again in victory lane here. Top 2 finishers, chase drivers. What did they learn heading into tomorrow when their championship is on the line?
I think they just learned about how to manage their tires, air pressure settings, things like that, but that's about it. You know, one more point before we get done here. Talk about these Nationwide cars, how strong they are. What about Brian Scott clobbering those barrels? And he bounced off them, kept going. These cars are so much tougher than last year's cars. It's just amazing. I've never seen that happen before. Had it happen to Matt Kenseth a long time ago. That took him out of the race.
That's right. That's right.
But today, that thing right there just clobbered those things and just kept on going. It was almost comical.
Well, this is just the beginning of all the racing action here. The Auto Plus NHRA qualifying for the NHRA Nationals tonight, 12:30 a.m. Eastern. That is on ESPN2. Tomorrow, a couple of editions of NASCAR Now. Tomorrow morning, we'll get you ready for the Sprint Cup Series race at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And then tomorrow night, a recap of the day's events, 10 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN2. We will be back with the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Dover tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN with NASCAR Countdown. Tomorrow night, the Auto Plus NHRA Nationals, 7 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN2. And of course, next weekend, it's the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Kansas. Next Saturday, 3 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. Coming up next, ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Miller Lite. It's Clemson versus Virginia. Congratulations once again to our winner here at the Monster Mile. It is once again Carl Edwards tying the record with Todd Bodine and Kyle Busch for 3 NASCAR Nationwide Series wins at this track. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. We'll see you tomorrow on ESPN for the NASCAR Nationwide Series Sprint Cup Series race, Chase race number 3. We'll see you then.